say electric, do you mean a hybrid or the pure electric?
You can do it with either one. The PG&E model is actually a hybrid with an expanded battery pack. It's a Toyota Prius that they're claiming 100 miles to the gallon on with, they get 100 miles to the gallon with some slightly, I wouldn't say shady numbers, but I'm not sure how they arrive at that number. They weight the...
lithium-ion batteries. I mean, there's a company in LA called 123 Energy that's making these conversions now for $10,000. They put the battery in the well
Right.
for the spare tire.
No, I understand that part.
And they're
the question-
claiming 100
right.
miles to gallon.
Right, but they're claiming 100 miles to the gallon still. What's their source of energy? Is that a gallon of generated energy? Is that a gallon of electric energy that they're getting 100 miles out of? Yes.
I would like to know if Tad or you were talking strictly about photovoltaic as solar energy, because my understanding is that solar thermal electrical production is cheaper per watt.
It is.
And it has one enormous advantage in that already it's affordable to store the energy for 16 or more hours, and it may be only a short time before it can be stored overnight for a few days.
It's
As a heat bank.
yeah, definitely more affordable as an installation.
Well, you're absolutely right, but it also delivers power of a lower grade than electricity. Not all kinds of power are equal. So the power with which you heat water for a shower or to do washing or to heat up your house is not as good in terms of moving objects as power stored as electricity or as a chemical fuel.
But I thought that the solar thermal fields, dollar for dollar, were pumping more electricity out.
Yeah.
Into the grid.
Well, but then maybe I don't understand your question, because to me solar thermal is heating up water.
Yes, but then you
But it
convert it
has
to electricity
Okay, then
using standardized
the
turbines.
different solar thermal is you have to have a parabolic mirror which will concentrate the solar rays
Right.
on a pipe through which you flow mineral oil, which will be heated up to a very high temperature,
Yes.
which then will be used to heat up water,
Correct.
which then will drive a turbine.
That's
Now that's a
right.
very complicated system.
It is, but it's
Yes.
still cheaper.
Yes, and you cannot put it on your roof, and so it's of less interest to me because I think about distributed generation systems.
There's enormous advantage to why they're
Let me
distributed.
jump in there.
Yeah.
There's actually a huge difference between residential solar thermal and commercial solar thermal.
Yes.
And commercial solar thermal and residential solar thermal share the low investment, the low initial investment in the technology. They both have, anytime you convert your energy from one form to another, you have inherent energy loss. So when you look at a commercial installation, you need to take a look at that. It may yet be more efficient, there's no question, in the right
Well, I mean,
site.
but let's look at it from
Definitely
the point of view.
more efficient, yes.
$3.2 billion have been dedicated by the state of California to go toward widely distributed domestic residential PV. If a similar amount of money were spent, and will be, by power companies for Mojave Desert and southern Utah and Nevada, thermal PV arrays, solar arrays, to produce large amounts of grid energy, and it still may be more affordable. There's line loss and so on, but you're adding gigawatts to the system.
Right. I have to agree, it's certainly part of the answer, there's no question. In the right site, that may be the best answer. And I'm not saying it's a bad answer ever. I think it's absolutely part of the answer. I have a question from the back here.
Yeah, Tad, you were in your presentation, you went over you glossed over the economic dislocation term.
Yes.
And I think that's probably the biggest part of your presentation, because we're going to looking at a radical change in our economics, which means a radical change in our lifestyles. My question to everybody here is, why do we still talk about ethanol versus fossil fuel? We should be talking about electric trains. We should be talking about building infrastructure. We should be talking about conservation. We're not going there with these presentations. We're just giving you little bits of hope by telling you everything's crumbling behind it.
Yes.
So my question to you is, as being a professor and whatnot, why, as being a leader, why are we not talking about this?
We are.
Tad, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. The question is that we are talking about irrelevant details as opposed to talking about truly important things. Okay? And in fact, you know, in most of my talks, not in this one, I do talk about the important things. But here I just wanted to concentrate on the solar power as applied to transportation. Now, having said that, we in the United States have to do more than most other developed countries. We have built a country on fossil fuels. We have built cities that do not allow good public transportation. We have dispersed housing, which is very low energy efficiency, and we'll have to do many, many things which are far more important. And we have to get started today because time, unfortunately, is not on the side of the United States here. It is not. And so I completely agree with your remark that perhaps a much better way of starting the discussion is to say, let's rank the important things we need to do in this country to get from here to there. And one of the first ones that would come to my mind would start from redesigning our cities, our direct environments. The second thing that would come to my mind would be building a viable public transportation in conjunction with rebuilding the city. The third would be completely redefining the way our agriculture works. Okay? So we would have to repopulate the countryside. We would have to, in fact, put people in the empty deserts that we have right now in Midwest that produce just commodities, not food. Yeah, in case you don't know, number 2, yellow corn is not food, it's commodity. It's just like crude oil or iron ore. It makes no difference who produces it. And so in a way, and by the way, and while at it, we would have to limit our fossil energy consumption by a factor of 2 to get started, and then by another factor of 2 to continue. That's a factor of 4.
And we're calling for hydro, the snowpack to be another low season coming off the Sierras, which provides 34% of our
And while
hydroelectricity.
at it, the West will be drying up because of the reasons you mentioned. We have a tremendous influx of people into Arizona and Nevada as well as to California. So we're going to have tremendous social problems here. And so there is, but you wanted an optimistic talk today. So I just didn't want
The
to
sun's
mention
coming up
Sorry.
tomorrow.